Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and today, not right beside me, it's Hoops. Hoops is not with me today, um, which is okay. He was busy this weekend, so unfortunately, we couldn't record this All Star Weekend rundown together. So I'm in charge for this podcast, which isn't the first time this has happened. Uh, early one of the episodes, I was in charge of a solo episode. um but yeah, it's rare that this happens. It's, I believe, been over a year since the last time I did a solo episode, so don't get used to it. But yeah, today I'm in charge of doing the All-Star rundown. I will be going over every single festivity from this All-Star weekend, give my takes, tell you guys who won, who didn't, what should have happened, what I did or did not like. And yeah, just for like some background in case you are new to the podcast, new to the channel. If you're not familiar with my takes on the All-Star game, I am usually a huge fan of the All-Star game. I love the All-Star game, especially since I am mainly an NBA fan. I don't really follow any other sports, so I don't look forward to like the Super Bowl every year or the World Cup every 4 years, even though I do now like the World Cup. But like growing up, my thing was the All-Star game. I looked forward to the All-Star game every year. And it's sad to see how much has changed, and debatably for the worse. I'll talk about that later on. But yeah, the goal here is to just go over everything and give you some of my takes. And hopefully, Hoops will be back next week so he could give like a short little spiel about what he thought about the All-Star game weekend. I know that he is more a fan of the Saturday night festivities than the Sunday night, because of how bad the All-Star game has become. I've always been a supporter of that Sunday night, that All-Star game, but these last 2 years, guys, it's been rough to support these games. So I'll talk about that later. Let's talk about Friday though. sorry. I needed to cough there, but yeah, let's start with the celebrity games. Which, who cares about the celebrity games? I know a lot of people don't care about the celebrity game, but I'll go over this quickly. Some of the more notable celebrities that played in this game includes Kai Cenat, Drewski, Shabuzi, Baron Davis, Noah Khan, Rakia Jackson, Matt Barnes, and Bailey from the WWE. I did not watch this, but I caught some of the highlights, and just to let you all know, like some of these things I didn't catch live, some of them I did, so bear with me if I missed on anything. But yeah, this celebrity game, which was similar to last year's, where there was a lot of challenges within the celebrity game. There was some gimmicky stuff, which I don't mind. I don't mind that going on in a celebrity game, especially since like celebrities aren't good at basketball, at least compared to NBA players. So instead of watching like a 5'6" dude miss all the time, the challenges helped spice things up. I know that the coaches here, which were Barry Bonds and 2 Chainz for one of the teams, and Jay Rice and Kabi Lam, I believe is his name, the most followed guy on TikTok. They were the coaches for their teams, and they had buttons to let their players get double the points every time they scored. So they'll be, after they press the button, they'll have a certain amount of minutes to score and get double of their points. There was also, for some reason, I watched the highlights, so I don't know the reason why, but Rocky, the mascot for the Denver Nuggets, was in the game, and he was playing some defense, which was funny to see. It looked like 2K out there. It really did, with Rocky playing some basketball. There was also a penalty box, so I kind of like this idea. Every time you fouled a person, the person that not got fouled, the person that fouled had to go in the penalty box and had to stay there for a certain amount of time. So, in theory, if like 4 of your teammates fouled someone, then it'd be 5-on-1 on the court, which I don't think it went to that extent. I think it did go 5-on-3, if I remember correctly. I'm not really sure. But it's still a cool idea, I think. Just eliminating your teammates because they caused a foul. It's a fun idea. It's a fun idea. So, yeah, there was several fun ideas implemented in this game. Rome Flynn, who is an actor, actually won the Celebrity Game MVP. Do not ask me what shows or movies he has been on, because I don't know. I don't know. This is the first time I've ever heard of Rome Flynn, but it looks like he can ball. So shout out to him. He got a decent amount of points. I forgot to write it down though, so I guess I can't tell you how well he did. But yeah, he did do well. Looking at the highlights, he made some shots, which is always nice. And yeah, he received the Celebrity Game MVP, I believe it's what it's called. And Drewski had a funny moment where he pretended to go for the award right before Rome's name was revealed. And then he looked... he made it into like an awkward but funny moment. So shout out to Drewski, who, I think he's pretty funny. Unlike Kai Cenat. And Kai Cenat is one of the most cringe, annoying celebrities out there. Like, I know he's big, and at times he does cool stuff, but he is so annoying. He is just always attention seeking. Never naturally funny. Like Drewski. Drewski's naturally funny. Kai Cenat is just like a Walmart Kevin Hart. And yeah, the forced mad face he made, looking at Rome with the Celebrity MVP trophy, it was corny. Like, this guy's a cornball, and he's just very annoying. So funny enough, though, even though Hoops is not here, he did add in a note here saying that Kai Cenat's 4 points in the Celebrity Games was more than Paul George's last game, which was only 2 points. So even though he's not here, he's still making his mark in the episode. So shout out Hoops for real. But yeah, let's move on to the Rising Stars, which is a tournament. It used to be, I believe rookies versus sophomores. At one point they did like a world versus USA game. Now they're doing tournaments where I believe coaches chose the rookies and what are they called? Sophomores, my bad. Rookies and sophomores to be on their team. And yeah, the coaches were Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, Chris Mullen, and Jeremy Lin. And the first matchup was Team C versus Team T. So Tim Hardaway versus Chris Mullen's team. And yeah, the tournament style works like this. They have to score 40 points to win. I believe they take a break after 15 points and 30 points. And yeah, Team C versus Team T. Team C got the early lead on Team T, thanks to a lot of 3-point shooting from Keontae George. And of course, Dalton Connect 4, known for his 3-point shooting. They ended up getting a 15-5 lead. Later on, Stephen Castle almost hit a crazy poster. Unfortunately, it did not go in. Not enough lift there, but still, it was a cool attempt. Team T was able to catch up and only started losing by 4 at one point. They kept getting close, but Team C found ways to stop each run, extending the lead, and the final score ended up being 34-40. Team C ended up winning by a game winner by Stefan Castle. So that was the first game. Then it was Team G versus Team M. Not Mitch McConnell. That easy, no. Mitch Richmond. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the disrespect there. Mitch Richmond versus Jeremy Lin's team, who is in charge of the G League team. So the G League team is comprised of G League players. They started this last year, and they're doing it again with the G League players played pretty well. This was actually a very competitive game. It was very close for the most part. Both teams had leads throughout different points of the game. There were some cool plays, like this Montes Buzelis, like very casual, like pass from behind his back or over his head, actually over his head, not looking, but was still able to make this high arcing pass to Ahmed Thompson for an easy dunk. And yeah, it was cool to see both Thompson twins on the same team as well. It was cool to see that there was like a cool, would have been a cool moment where one of the twins tried to lob it up to the other one, but the other one wasn't paying attention. I believe it was Ahmed to Asar. I think that's I still can't tell them apart. So my bad. But yeah, this was a close game, 37-37. Ahmed went for an easy dunk to take a 2-point lead, but Bryce McGowan's for the G League team hit this crazy tough, like Kobe-esque three for the win, where I forgot who was defending him, but they closed in and ended up being on, I guess, McGowan's left side. And since there was some space on the right, but barely any space, McGowan kind of tilted to the right and shot this difficult three for the win. And I guess they don't do, like, you have to win by 2 or more. So they just ended up winning that one with ease. I believe it was 40-39 there. But yeah. So this led up to Team C and Team G facing each other for the final game. The final game was only up to 25 points, not 40, which was the only difference between the other games. And yeah, Team C ended up destroying. They had a 7-0 run, or they made a 7-0 run. Dalton Connect was making buckets. He had a great couple games. This Rising Stars game, I guess games. Stefan Castle made some tough layups. Like all the shots he was making looked difficult. But yeah, the main reason why that Team C ended up winning was because of a lot of 3-pointers being made. And yeah, I believe Keontae George made the game winning 3. The score was 25-14. And Stefan Castle won the MVP. The stats aren't crazy because of this format. He had 6, 4, and 4. In the first game, 12 and 2 in the second game, which is probably one of my issues with these tournament style games, especially when it comes to the All-Star game as well. The stats are gonna be super, super low. So looking back in history, seeing Stefan Castle win the Rising Stars MVP with only 12 points looks odd. It just looks odd. I know it was good given the circumstances. You know, he almost scored half of his team's points in the second game. But it does look odd when you compare it to other past Rising Stars MVPs and now other All-Star MVPs, which we'll get into later on. But yeah, shout out to Stefan Castle. He was able to win this one. He wasn't able to win the dunk contest, which I'll get into later. But yeah, shout out to Stefan Castle and Team C because they ended up winning. They are going to the All-Star game, which a lot of people have mixed feelings. I don't mind. I know the All-Star game should celebrate the All-Stars, but this is the All-Stars' fault at the end of the day. If they don't want to face rookies and sophomores, maybe they should try hard when they face each other. I know Draymond Green was complaining about this on the Sunday night game where he thought it was disrespectful to the All-Stars who worked hard to be in that position, and nobody wants to see the rookies and sophomores play against the All-Stars. Again, Chuck said this, I agree with him. You guys are the ones that ruined the game, okay? So if you don't like it, maybe you guys should have done something about it and actually competed when you had the chance. And I especially don't want to hear this from Draymond Green because he didn't work hard to be an All-Star. He was Steph's teammate. That's essentially why. He's a good role player that was playing for Steph's team in Golden State and ended up being one of the best teams of all time. It wasn't because Draymond Green was, playing like an all-star. He was playing like a good role player for the Warriors, okay? So, yeah, Steph carried him to his rings. Steph carried him to the All-Star game as well. So I don't want to hear Draymond Green talking about how he doesn't want to see rookies and sophomores at the All-Star game. I didn't want to see your donkey-ass looking face in the All-Star game either. But I had to. It's just what it is. So stop whining. And again, you were part of the issue. You were one of the All-Stars throughout the many years where we had weak All-Star games. Why didn't you compete? Why didn't you score 30 points and play mad defense, So, and I know it's not just Draymond. It's actually, we could attribute this issue with a lot more All-Stars. There's more All-Stars that have a bigger responsibility for this. But still, I don't want to hear Draymond complain about the All-Star game. And I hope when he retires, he never becomes a commentator because I would hate it. The worst thing about Draymond isn't the way he plays, it's the way he speaks. I hate hearing him talk. So please never become a commentator, even though that's kind of what it seems like it's going to happen. Because even though I'm negative all the time, I'm not in front of millions being negative. I'm in front of tens, Draymond Green is just being negative in front of millions of people watching the All-Star game, complaining about rookies and sophomores playing, yet doesn't hold the actual All-Stars accountable for their horrible play throughout the years and how they are the reason why we are in this situation. So this is ridiculous. Sorry for the rant, but get ready for more because it's gonna happen. It will. Next, though, we are moving on to Saturday night, where we have the Saturday festivities, with the skills challenge. We've got the 3-point contest. We got the dunk contest. We're starting off with the skills challenge, though, which is I was gonna say tag team. What's a relay race? It's like a relay race where two players are teamed up together, and one of them has to go through this obstacle course where they're bounce passing, they're chest passing, they're shooting threes, free throws, contested threes, dribbling, making layups, all of that, and trying to do it quickly so that they could let the other teammate go right after, and they have to do the exact same thing, and the fastest team wins basically. And the Spurs were first, so it was Wemby and Chris Paul going at it. And yeah, right out of the jump, there was controversy. Where this was clearly Chris Paul's idea. Wemby was first. He did, the usual stuff, dribbling, passing. But when it came to shooting, he just threw the balls, threw it as fast as possible because there are 3 balls on each rack. And the goal is to make like the first one on the first try so you move on faster. But instead of doing that, Wemby threw all 3 balls just casually like this. My bad. I'm sorry for the cough here, but because you get only 3 attempts if you keep missing. So instead of actually trying to shoot and wasting time like that, he just casually threw it, like anywhere. Like some of them wasn't even close to the rim, but he still threw it for all of the shots that he needed to take. And then Chris Paul ended up doing the same thing. And they got a super fast time. But as soon as that happened, and as soon as the crowd realized that this was going on, nobody liked it. Like the crowd was booing. And the NBA ended up disqualifying Team Spurs for this attempt. And Chris Paul was livid throughout the rest of the competition. Chris Paul was arguing with this one guy who was very rude to Ali LaForce. Ali LaForce wanted to interview Chris Paul and Wemby on what happened, why they did that, and how they felt on being disqualified. And this one guy was so rude, pushing her away, telling her no, they're not doing this, which sucked. I would have loved to hear their thoughts at that moment. Some people might say like Ali was pushing it, but she's a reporter at the end of the day. That's what they do. That's her job. So she was trying to do a good job, and shout out to her for trying to get it done. But yeah, the one dude that came in and showed Wemby and Chris Paul the rules was definitely irritated at that moment. So was Chris Paul. He was arguing the whole time. Apparently he asked people if he could do that, and he got the okay. And then I guess when the crowd started booing, that's when the NBA was probably changed their mind. I don't know. I don't know what is true, what's not true. But yeah, it seems like a very Chris Paul thing to do, to plan this out and to ask people about it. So I'm taking his side. At first I wasn't. At first I was like, okay, the Spurs are being corny. They're desperately trying to win. And this is all lame. But after the NBA got involved, I'm kind of on Chris Paul's side now. I kind of am. But yeah, that's that. There was still 3 other teams that had to go. Team Rookies went, where Risa Shea and Star went through the course. I believe it was Risa Shea who missed his layup attempt, which was funny. A very rookie thing to do. And they did well, but not good enough, because the Warriors and the Cavs ended up doing better. Team Cavs ended up going next. They did well, except for when Donovan Mitchell fumbled the ball while grabbing it and dribbling to the chest pass area. Man, I hope I'm not getting sick. I'm sorry for all these coughs. But other than that little fumble, the Cavs did well. The Warriors did do better, beating out their time. And Moses Moody, I thought it was a very random inclusion. Oh, and by the way, Team Cavs had Mobley and Donovan Mitchell. I think I forgot to state that. But yeah, going back to Moses Moody, I thought it was very random that he was included in the skills challenge. He's just not a player you think of when you think of the Warriors, even though you should. He's been there for a while. I'm sure you would think of Kuminga before him. Obviously Steph, but Steph was not going to do this. Maybe you would have thought of pods before him. Usually guards would do better at this event. So getting pods in there, especially like he's young, he's a sophomore. That is, he seems like the type of player that would be in this event, but no, it was Moses Moody and Draymond Green, and Moses Moody killed it. It was getting it done out there, and the Warriors ended up, I believe, getting the highest score of the first round, and the Warriors and Cavs went to face each other in the second round. The Cavs went first. It's kind of fitting how the Warriors and Cavs ended up facing each other because, this was at Oracle Arena, and we know that Cavs and Warriors had a lot of battles in that arena. So, very fitting. But yeah, the Cavs went first in the second round, and they were able to complete the course in exactly 1 minute. They did so well. Then the Warriors went. Moses Moody killed it, but of course, Draymond Green found a way to choke. Seems like he can't win unless Steph is on his team. And yeah, he ended up choking it for the Warriors. So Mobley and Donovan Mitchell were able to win. Mobley actually won this event like a few years ago. So he's a 2-time winner now. And Donovan Mitchell won his first skills challenge. So yeah, I think we're good here. After this, LiAngelo Ball is back. Not playing basketball, but he performed his song Tweaker. He was introduced by his brother Alonzo, and he played the one song that he has, which it's a good song. It's a good like southern hip hop track, even though he's not from the South. He's from California, so that's kind of funny. I heard someone say that he had more NBA. He was on the court longer in this performance than his entire NBA career. I thought that was funny. But yeah, it was an okay performance. I honestly couldn't tell if he was actually performing, or if he was lip syncing the whole time. But shout out Jello. Great song. Maybe song of the year. I don't know. But yeah, that was cool. After that, it led to the 3-point contest, which was probably the most disappointing 3-point contest of all time, because most of these guys couldn't even get 20 points. Last year, there were so many 20 plus performances, a bunch of 24s. It was very competitive. This year sucked. Cam Johnson only had 14 points. Garland did pretty well, actually. He wore 24 points, and he did a cool thing where he wore number 22 in honor of his father, who did play for the Warriors back in the day. So shout out to Garland. I was actually rooting for him. So he had a good first round with 24 points. Cade had a very slow start, only getting 16 points. Norman Powell had a rough attempt with 14 points. Tyler Hero went up next. And yeah, he made the first starry ball of the night. Had to rush the last few balls. I believe it was his money rack. And got 19 points there. Brunson made a starry ball during his attempt. He had a good start but slowed down. Got 18 points. Buddy Hield went off. He went off in the first round. He got 31 points. He made both of his starry balls. I believe those 31 points tied for the most ever with Steph. So that was crazy. He was definitely going to go to the next round. And then Lillard was next, who won 2 3-point contests. Was looking for a third, but couldn't get it done because although he started well, he got 2 good racks in. He ended up choking the rest. He got 18 when he needed 20 to move on. So in the second round, Tyler Hero ended up advancing. Garland ended up advancing, and obviously Buddy Hield ended up advancing. So Tyler Hero started the second round. He made both of his stories and ended up with 24 points, the same amount of points that Garland made in his first attempt. So Garland had to improve from his first performance, and unfortunately, that's not what he did. Garland slowed down, made one of his stories, but unfortunately, was not enough because he only got 19 points. And then Buddy Hield was next. He was clearly the favorite at this point, with that 31-point performance at the beginning. So yeah, Buddy was clearly the favorite in the second round. And he ended up losing. He missed the entire first rack, which gave him a huge deficit to climb back from. By the time he got to his fifth and final rack, which was his money rack, he needed to make all 5 of those balls. He made the first 3, missed the 4th, made the 5th. He got 23. Tyler Hero got 24. He lost by 1, which was tough. So Tyler Hero luckily got the win, and he was very lucky. Not even trying to be disrespectful, because even Tyler Hero knew he was very lucky. He made some funny faces when he realized that he ended up winning the 3-point contest, because he knew the best competitors out there fumbled hard. So yeah, it was very funny how Tyler Hero even knew that he probably shouldn't have won this competition. But yeah, shout out to him. He won the 3-point competition. Next and final event for the Saturday night was the dunk contest. And I'll tell you right now, it was basically Stefan Castle versus Mac McClung. You could ignore the other two performers during this dunk contest. Even though I do want to shout out Matas Buzelis. He couldn't make his first attempt, but I saw the vision there, and that would have been a crazy dunk if he got it in. Essentially, he ran from behind the backboard. He ran, jumped, tried to bounce the ball between his legs so he could grab it from behind, and then dunk it like that. It's hard to explain, but it would have been crazy. It would have been crazy if he got it done. Unfortunately, he didn't get it done. So, I know he had like another attempt. I really don't care because, again, it was Stefan Castle versus Mac McClung. But the first attempt was crazy. It would have been cool if he got that done. Andre Jackson Jr., on the other hand, never dunk a ball ever again. I don't want to see you play basketball and dunking ever again. Strictly layups for you from now on, because my God, you had some of the most boring dunks I've ever seen in a dunk contest. He just had regular dunks because he couldn't make the harder ones that he was attempting to do. Even though like the very first attempt looked similar to Stefan Castle's attempt on the first round, which he got done with ease on the first try. Stefan Castle did this like 360 windmill, and it was pretty good. He got a score of 47.2, so shout out to him. And it looked like Andre Jackson, I think that's his name. It looked like Andre was attempting that dunk at first, and then when he realized he couldn't get it done, he eventually did this regular 2-hand dunk that was very lame. So, and he did that for the other round as well. He made this other like lame dunk. I don't know. I'd rather have you not make a cool creative dunk than you dunking a regular dunk. Like that was embarrassing. That was boring as hell. So yeah. Enough Matas talk, enough Andre talk. It was the Stefan Castle versus Mac McClung show. I believe Stefan Castle probably is the best dunker Mac McClung has faced. I really don't remember the first year he was in the dunk contest. I remember last year. Last year, nobody really stood out. in my opinion. And I remember how Jaylen Brown was very cringe when he was in the dunk contest last year. But yeah, Stephen Castle has some great dunks. Um, he had this one I really enjoyed. I think it was a 360, but as he was like twisting his body around, he had the ball and was able to like make the ball go around his body before he dunked it. That was a sick dunk. He was great. I don't think he should have won, and I'm glad he didn't win, but a lot of people believe he should have won the dunk contest. But when you compare it to what Mac McClung did, it's really more boring, at least for casuals, I believe. Like, Mac McClung really amped it up this year. His first dunk of the night was him jumping over a car with a guy in the, I forgot what it's called, but the window on top of the car. The guy popped out of there with the ball. Mac McClung jumped over the car, jumped over the guy, grabbed the ball, and not only dunked the ball, but reverse dunked the ball. Ended up falling on the floor. That was crazy. Like, I know this isn't the first time someone dunked over a car. Blake Griffin infamously dunked over a car during his dunk contest. But Blake Griffin dunked over the hood of the car and is much taller than Mac McClung. Mac McClung is like 8 inches shorter than Blake Griffin. Dunked over again the tippity top of the car and a person that held the ball inside the car, so there was added height there. Basically doing the splits over it. I know he kind of clipped it at the end, like his foot did touch the car at the end, but still, that's insanely impressive, more impressive, and he reversed the dunk. So I think this is better than the Blake Griffin dunk. I know he also did the Aaron Gordon dunk where Aaron Gordon dunked over the Magic mascot while the Magic mascot was on the hoverboard. I think they call it hoverboards even though it doesn't hover at all. But yeah, the mascot was spinning with the ball, and not spinning actually. He held the ball, and I think there was 2 attempts with the mascot and the hoverboard. I don't know, but basically Aaron Gordon dunked over the mascot while it was on the hoverboard with the ball in his hands. And I don't know which one's better, honestly. I really like how Aaron Gordon got both legs above the mascot and it looked like he was sitting in midair. I thought that was really cool. But Mac McClung, again, just killed it with his dunk. I believe it was like a 180, 360. I don't remember, actually, to be honest with you. But yeah, I felt like Mac McClung just amped it up this year. He dunked over Mobley on top of this platform and was able to grab the ball and before dunking it, tap the ball on the rim and then get the dunk in. Stephen Castle had another good dunk as well, where he was behind the backboard, and some guy banked in the shot, and when the ball was falling, he was able to grab it and put it between his legs and dunk it backwards. So Stephen Castle did good. Mac McClung was clearly better. And I know like a lot of people didn't like the props and stuff. They thought it was too gimmicky. But that's the point of this. You're supposed to give the audience a show. Oh, I just remembered the key difference between Mac McClung's dunk and Aaron Gordon. Because there was 2 balls involved. One from the guy on the hoverboard and one from, I believe, his dunking coach above the rim. So he ended up dunking 2 balls at the same time, not just one, while still tributing Aaron Gordon. So stuff like that is the reason why he should have won. And I'm glad that he won because he amped it up. He gave everybody a show. And Stephen Castle did great. But when compared to all the things that Mac McClung did, he put a lot more effort and had a lot of creative ideas with his dunk attempts. So yeah, I do think Mac McClung deserve this win. And he got people inspired. He got John Morant tweeting that maybe he'll start dunking again. Maybe he'll join next year. Giannis says if Ja joins, he'll join. John Morant tweeted at Zach LaVine and Eric Gordon saying if they could get involved. So, if this is the Mac McClung effect after his three-peat, yes, a three-peat, ladies and gentlemen, he was able to three-peat the dunk contest. He was able to three-peat before Patrick Mahomes. If this is the influence Mac McClung has created, then this was a huge W by the NBA getting this G League player to be in the dunk contest. So yeah, shout out to Mac McClung. Hopefully the stars come next year and Mac McClung also performs. He says this will probably be his last, and this would be a good way to end things off. I think another year would be a bit too much, but if the stars come through and they want to compete against Mac, then I would love to watch that. So yeah, it depends on the situation, but it could be cool having Mac come back, especially if the stars come back because of him. So we'll see if that happens. Hopefully it does. But yeah, that is Saturday night. Other than the 3-point contest being disappointing, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. Now let's talk about Sunday. Sunday All-Star Game has changed into the tournament format after the horrendous game from last year where they brought it back to regular basketball, East versus West, and a team ended up scoring 200 plus points. Come on, this was disappointing. And this is what not only the fans want, but the players want. The players want to play East versus West, a regular basketball game. But if you're going to score 200 points and not care at all, no defense played, just a bunch of half-court shots and chucking up threes and some missed dunks, like, what are we doing? Like, this is why we have to do the tournament format this year. Because you guys don't know how to play basketball. Apparently, I did not phrase that well. Obviously, they know how to play basketball, but they don't know how to work with the fans. The fans don't want you guys to be injured. They just want you to play basketball in a semi-competitive way, so that you guys are still playing great basketball and it's still a fun show, but you guys don't get injured. Why can't you guys do that? You guys do it all the time when you play pickup in the summer. Why can't you do that for the All-Star game? Like, this is honestly very disrespectful to your fans. Like, last year especially was very disrespectful. And speaking of disrespectful, what the hell did LeBron do, dude? Like, I'm sorry. I know he's Lil Pookie. He's on my Lakers, so I'm a fan of LeBron. But what he did was super lame. Announcing that he was not going to play like an hour before the game started. It was crazy. He wasn't the only one, though. Anthony Edwards did the same thing. He didn't tell anybody at all, though, I believe. He just, like, straight up did not play. I don't think he was there at all during the All-Star game. What are we doing? Why do these players not care? The fans want to watch you play an exhibition game. It's not that hard. Dude, like, teachers play exhibition games for their students in, like, middle school. That's what they did at my middle school. The teachers went out and played against students. It was a fun time. Why couldn't these professional athletes play a basketball game competitive enough where it's fun, but still they don't, like, injure themselves either? Like, these players do not care. Anthony Edwards do not care about the fans enough to play the All-Star game. He didn't even care to announce that he wasn't playing. I just found out this morning and realized that he never was on the court. LeBron James as well. Like, you're supposed to be the leader of the NBA. You're still the face of the NBA after like 22 years of playing, and you're still like too nonchalant to care. Come on, come on. This was lame. This was lame on both of their parts, um, because this is supposed to be a show to entertain your fans, and you're not gonna give them the respect to even announce ahead of time that you're not gonna play, so that other players could join, like Norman Powell, Sabonis, these snubs that would love to play in the All Star game, but they couldn't because you didn't say something earlier. Like, if you guys didn't want to play, say something before. God, like, so yeah, that pisses me off when players are in the All Star game and they go to the games, but they don't play. They don't suit up at all. They find an excuse. Jimmy Butler has done this. James Harden has done this. This year it was LeBron and Anthony Edwards. So already this is already a very disappointing game. Um, and yeah, it gets worse. We have Kevin Hart being like one of the hosts for tonight, and at first he was funny. You know, it was funny hearing him and Charles Barkley banter with each other. It was cool at first, but he got very annoying. He was sounding like a boomer, saying, "Oh, why are these big men shooting threes?" He was yelling at Barkley, telling him to coach better, even though he wasn't one of the coaches. He just chose the teams. Um, it got to the point where he was like poking fun at Shea, and Shea was telling him to just wrap it up. Like, Shea did not care about Kevin Hart, and nobody in America did. Like, everybody got annoyed by Kevin Hart last night. And again, I thought he was funny at first, but then it just kept getting worse and worse. Like, he wouldn't shut up. But yeah, let's actually talk about the All Star game. So Kenny's team and Charles' team were up first. Kenny drafted. This was clearly a rigged draft, so they could do this. But he drafted all of the young stars, while Barkley drafted all of the global stars. They faced each other, and things started off great. There was threes drained, there was defense play, there was 3 early blocks at the beginning. Donovan Mitchell, Carl Anthony Towns, 3-point contest winner Tyler Hero were making cool threes. Team Global ended up taking the lead, and by the break had a 17-12 lead. After the break, things did get tied up at 17, and there were some cool plays. Like, Wemby had this like cool stretchy dunk on top of Tyler Hero. Cade crossed up Wemby, which was cool, but when he went to the rim, Wemby blocked him somehow. Wemby did great. His first All-Star game, he actually tried. He's already showing the NBA who is going to be the future leader of the NBA, and I'm excited for it. I'm tired of LeBron being the leader of the NBA because he just doesn't care. He doesn't care about basketball in the same way that like a young Wemby does. He doesn't care about the All-Star game. He just cares about himself and trying to surpass Michael Jordan. That's all it is. That's what he's been doing his entire career. My inner former LeBron hater is coming out today, apparently, but it's true. Like, LeBron doesn't care about basketball the same way like Kobe does or Westbrook does. They played like their lives were on the line, while LeBron, like, he just wants to be goofy and liked and wants to win rings. But yeah, like, I digress. Shout out to Wemby for actually trying out there and doing a good job getting blocks, getting shots up, getting these crazy dunks, crazy threes in. Shout out to him. There was a cool Darius Garland to Jalen Williams alley oop. That was cool. And yeah, Team Global ended up winning 30-27. So yeah, Global Stars ended up dominating. It wasn't. I'm sorry. That was the break. That was the break. The score goes up to 40, not 30. So my bad. After their break, though, the Global Stars ended up dominating anyway. So after several easy dunks, including a Shea game winner, they ended up winning this game. And yeah, Shea ended up getting the game winner, by being guarded by Triple J, former Defensive Player of the Year, who couldn't get, who couldn't stop Shea. Damn. Uh, but yeah, after this first game, we have the Mr. Beast event, where Mr. Beast chose a random fan. I know this sounds crazy, but yeah, Mr. Beast was in the NBA All Star game. He chose a random fan to come up, and the goal was that he would make a logo three, before Damian Lillard made 3 logo threes, and if he won, he would get 100K. If Dame wins, he donates the 100K to a charity. And it was difficult for the young man. I believe his name was Jaren. Dame made two logo threes. Mr. Beast was, trying to help Jaren out. Was yelling very awkwardly to get somebody to give him a pep talk. And Kenny actually gave him a good talk. So shout out to the Jet there. But yeah, after a few attempts and Mr. Beast kind of rushing it because it was close to commercials apparently, Jaren ended up getting the shot in. Everybody was hyped. Kenny Smith was there. Shaq was there celebrating with him. A bunch of mascots came out too, which was pretty cute. And Jaren ended up winning 100K for college, he says. So, shout out to him. A little awkward, but it's whatever. Yeah, what's next? Okay, the next game, it was Shaq's OGs versus Candace Parker's Rising Stars. So this Rising Stars team C from Friday night, played in this game, and it was pretty competitive, honestly. At least, definitely at the beginning, there was some defense played. Tatum actually blocked Zach Edey, which was kind of crazy. Steph was hitting crazy threes early on. And yeah, the OGs by the break ended up getting a 15-19 lead. After the break, Castle almost had another crazy dunk. Him and his crazy dunks. Yeah. It was a close game. By the other break, after several Steph threes, the score ended up being 26-28, with the OGs still winning. And I feel like the defense became a lot more intense after the second break. And there was a lot of cool plays, like this Kyrie to Jaylen Brown alley-oop. Jaylen Brown did pretty well in this game, had 8 straight points. And there was an intense ending with OG's team needing a 3 to win, and the Rising Stars wouldn't let them make a 3. The perimeter defense was really good by the Rising Stars. Eventually, KD settled for an easy dunk. And yeah, the Rising Stars were trying to get back from a deficit. They were trying to score as much as they can to catch up. And they were even fouling in order to try to catch up. They fouled Kevin Durant, which wasn't called, which is kind of crazy to think about, that there's actual defense being played. There's an actual foul, and people are actually upset about a non-foul call in an All-Star game. That's cool to see. So even though this tournament style isn't perfect, I'll go over more of my complaints later. there was still defense being played, and it was definitely competitive. But yeah, after that possession, there was some great passing of the ball, and Jason Tatum had the ball in the corner, shot a wide open three, wide open, and missed it, missed the game winner. Eventually, Damian Lillard, Dame Time, had to clean everything up and scored a three for the win. So the OG team beat the Rising Stars, who had a good game. I think they played better than the Young Stars did against Team Global. Like, we want closer games. We want competitive games. I guess the other one ended up being closer. But still, this was definitely a lot more competitive, and there was great defense played in this game. After this, it was the little it's not even a halftime show since there's no halftimes anymore. But there was a bunch of artists performing, and it was a good show. E40 came out, played a classic or two. Saweetie came out as well. She did great. Too Short, of course, was amazing. And Vogue did great as well. It was a great performance all around. DJ Cassidy did a good job hyping everybody up. My favorite part was definitely Too Short. Like Blow the Whistle is such a classic. Just reminds me of me as a kid playing 2K. So pretty good performance. There's no Super Bowl halftime show performance, but it was good. It was good. After that, Team OGs versus Team Global. And right off the bat, Stephen Curry came in shooting this runner one-handed three-pointer that went in, first shot of the night, or first shot of that game, I should say. And yeah, this was not competitive to begin with. It was an 11-0 run by the OGs. And by the time the break happened, just randomly, they did this tribute for the TNT crew, which is cool. This is their last time covering the All-Star game, as they are going to be moving on from this, unfortunately. It was cool, but clearly this is not what the people wanted to see. They wanted to see basketball, and this kind of ruined all momentum that the tournament had. Because after this, the All-Star, this final All-Star game became very sloppy. There was less defense played. It seemed like both teams didn't care, except for Wemby. Wemby did good. He made a three to get his team going, but unfortunately, it was not enough because it seemed like both teams didn't care. Steph was hitting these tough half-court threes. Kyrie had a self alley-oop, bounced it off the backboard. There was cool plays for sure. It was fun to see that, but all sense of competition was out the window. It started to feel like old All-Star games, honestly. There was a funny moment where Curry had the ball and was dribbling up the court very slowly, even though the goal was to make the game-winning shot. He was dribbling very slowly and ended up getting an 8-second call, which was funny. Eventually, Jason Tatum dunked it for the win. Curry had 12 points and ended up being the All-Star MVP. Team OG won. They got a trophy as well for winning the little tournament. I mean, it worked at first. I feel like the first two games were competitive. There was defense played, which is more than what happened last year. Last year was atrocious. A lot of people are saying this is the worst All-Star game of all time. No, it's not. Last year was definitely the worst. The last year, no defense played. Nobody cared. A team scored 200 points. I can't even do that on 2K. A team scored 200 points, and you expect me to believe that this year is worse? No. This year, we got less basketball. I agree on that part. I think that was definitely the worst part about this All-Star game is just there's less basketball. This was something I was concerned about going into this game because, like, how fast did they score 40 points last year? They scored 40 points pretty quickly last year. So clearly they were going to score 40 points quickly this year. Therefore, the games were going to be shorter. That was an issue that I knew going into this, that the NBA should have known going into this. They probably should have like extended the amount of points needed to be scored or something. But yeah, I do understand the complaints about this being too short, and there was too many like interruptions. Like that, we didn't need to do the TNT tribute in the middle, literally in the middle of the championship game. You know, that game was ruined after that. It was ruined because the players didn't end up caring anymore. Trae Young complained about this, how they just lost momentum after that. And you know, this is actually the first time it wasn't the NBA players' fault. The last few years, it was definitely the players' fault. You know, with LeBron not caring and other players not caring, feeling like it's, you know, lame to try, which is cringe as hell if that's your mindset as an NBA player. You are paid millions of dollars. You are blessed with having one of the greatest jobs in the world. All you have to do is play and try a little bit for your fans, and you can't do that. Again, that is corny. That is corny. It is lame to not try. I think it's awesome seeing players try. That's why I believe the All-Star game ended up being a disaster when Kobe retired and when Westbrook no longer was in his prime, because those guys tried. Those guys actually gave it their all when they played in the All-Star game. None of the players now try. Luckily, Wemby here did try a bit in his first All-Star game, playing defense to the point where people didn't want to shoot around the rim like they were playing the Spurs in a regular season game. So hopefully Wemby can change things up, and hopefully the NBA learns from their mistakes this year, because this was the NBA's fault this year. There was not enough basketball. There was too many like other activities, which like I understand why they did that. Like having Mr. Beast come in, having the TNT crew tribute, doing all these other extracurriculars makes sense because they wanted to fill out time, because I guess they knew what they have done. They knew that these games were going to be shorter, and they wanted to fill out time. So I'm glad they attempted to do something, but obviously it didn't work for the championship game, at least. The rest of the games were good. They were competitive. We just want more of that for longer. So it's an NBA issue, maybe a bit of a player issue. Like, come on, you guys are adults. Maybe just try a bit. It's up to you at the end of the day if we get a good show or not. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they should do the tournament style again. I think it was kind of a disappointment. It was competitive though, and I don't know, at least at first, I guess. So I don't know if there's any other solutions that could be made. Maybe making the games longer, maybe go up to 50 points. Definitely no interruptions within the game. That's for sure. Making the breaks shorter, maybe. I don't know. Like, do the extracurriculars between each game, like what they've been doing, you know, with the Mr. Beast, the performance. Those were at least between the shows. The TNT crew tribute was within a game. That's crazy. Kevin Hart should no longer be part of any NBA festivities ever again. I don't care. I don't want to hear him talk anymore. Like, no, stop it. Stop it. We need analysts that aren't bitching about the game. We don't need them. We don't need Draymond Greens. We don't need, again, Kevin Hart complaining about big men shooting threes in an all-star game. We don't need that. We just need competitive basketball. And again, if the players can't play competitive basketball, then what's the point of doing all this, honestly? Like, this is disappointing. I wanted to go back to East versus West. The players want that too, but it's up to the players at the end of the day. And clearly, today wasn't a success. Even though it started off great, clearly the All-Star game was not a success. So Adam Silver is going to tweak it some way, somehow. And I don't know what that will be. And I'm kind of afraid to find out. But yeah, I've been yapping a lot. I'm glad I hit over the hour mark. I was kind of afraid I wouldn't. I didn't want to make a show that's too short, but it's a decent length, so I'm glad I made it to where I made it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the NBA All-Star Game. I would give it like a 6 out of 10. The actual basketball for 80% of the games was good. It was good. It was all I wanted. The last part of the championship game was horrible. And then, yeah, there was a lot of other horrible stuff with, like, LeBron and Anthony Edwards being a disappointment. Kevin Hart being annoying. All these interruptions. So, yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Better than last year. I will say that. Better than last year. I don't think you could get worse than last year. But you all let me know down below. We'll get Hoops on the show next week to give his quick thoughts on the All-Star Game. Maybe he has different opinions from me. If you have a different opinion from me, you can leave it on the comments. If you're on YouTube, you could even comment on Spotify. If you're on Spotify, you can leave a comment there. And yeah, if you're on an audio platform, make sure you give us a 5-star rating and review. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on our social medias. I just uploaded a TikTok recently, so check that out. And yeah, I'm just going to end it here. Thank you all for checking out my solo episode for today. I hope you don't mind all the coughing. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I'm going to end it here. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week. Kid, bye.